Hello, Husky Nation. For those who celebrate, we hope you had a fantastic Easter. And for everyone else, well, welcome to April. Spring is right around the corner. I'm Ryan Kim alongside Bryan Lambert making his UC Sports debut. And Bryan, what do we have for the people tonight?
Ryan, thanks for having me today. It was an emotional roller coaster this week for UConn athletics. There's updates on men's basketball's offseason, to baseball and softball finally returning to stores, and deja vu in Columbus. We'll jump right into it when we return. This is UC Sports. Agumbawale. There's a name that'll haunt UConn fans for at least the next 12 months as she crushed UConn women's basketball's hopes of returning to the national championship game with a buzzer beater in overtime. The Huskies suffered a shocking 91-89 loss to Notre Dame in the Final Four on Friday night in the same fashion it did a year ago. UConn fell behind early, trailing by as much as 12 in the game. The Huskies pulled a ferocious comeback in the final seconds of regulation to force overtime with a steal by Kia Nurse on the inbound with 10 seconds remaining. In the extra period, the Huskies found themselves in a similar situation, down 5 with under a minute to go. Crystal Dangerfield capped off that rally with a game-tying 3 from the wing, but 26 seconds that remained, that was enough for Notre Dame's statement. Agumbawale shoots and scores the step-back jumper with 1 second to spare, and that killed UConn's hopes yet again. UConn fell to 0-7 all-time in overtime games and finished the season at 36-1. Notre Dame would go on to defeat Mississippi State in the championship game last night on, guess what, an Agumbawale game winner. But congratulations to Kia Nurse and Gabby Williams on a remarkable UConn career, and despite the 2 crushing losses, the pair tallied a 148-3 record. We wish you both well in your future. But we're not done. The Huskies, they'll also be without their 3rd leading scorer when they return next season. The team announced today that forward Azurá Stevens will forego her final year of eligibility and declare for the WNBA draft. It was a tough loss for the women to soak up. As for the men, their early offseason is off to a busy start. The school made it official that Tom Moore will rejoin Dan Hurley's staff as an assistant coach. This will be Moore's 2nd stint with the Huskies, previously an assistant coach for 13 years under Jim Calhoun. Moore said in the press release, "Since I first arrived here in the fall of 1994, having the good fortune to work under a Hall of Fame coach in Jim Calhoun, UConn Basketball has always been extremely special to me. The fact that I'm returning here with one of the bright, young college coaches in the country makes it even more exciting." Hurley is said to have trusted Moore with his recruiting ties to the Northeast, carrying over from their time at Rhode Island. Hurley and Moore will have to get back to the recruiting trail as Lucas Kasunas and Emmett Matthews Jr. reopen their recruitment, decommitting from UConn amid the coaching change. Kasunas, a 6'10" center from Brewster Academy, and Matthews Jr. joined James Akinjo as prior commits that have left UConn since Hurley became head coach. Akinjo and Matthews Jr. have both left open the possibility of being re-recruited by Hurley and his staff. UConn now has 3 open scholarships for next season. Now, Ryan, amid all this roster turnover, what do you think is the next step for the men's team?
I think for Hurley and Moore and whoever else comes on his staff, I think it's going to be a really tough task to try to really not only re-recruit these guys, but bring in a team that he thinks can really mold to what he wants and what he wants to build in that locker room culture. But I think it's definitely going to be something to watch for going forward into the offseason and obviously carrying over into next season. But it's definitely going to be fun, but it's going to be different.
Yeah, and I think one of the things is as a head coach coming in so late into the offseason and stuff like this, all the top recruits are usually already picked up by this point. You're kind of working with table scraps. Yeah. I think for Hurley, the key is going to be finding a diamond in the rough here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we'll step aside for a short break, but stick around because we'll finally hit the diamonds in Connecticut. You're gonna be
It was a long time coming, but UConn Baseball finally got a chance to play in front of the home crowd. After 2 cancellations, fans finally got a first-hand look at their Huskies when they took on Hartford on Thursday and Central Connecticut on Friday. And what they saw was a lot of runs and 2 great pitching performances. 4 different Huskies provided RBI hits in a massive 7-run 8th inning that was more than enough to put Hartford to bed on Thursday. Starter Tim Cate went 6 2/3 scoreless innings, striking out 6 before turning it over to the bullpen. The Hawks got 1 run in the 9th, but it was nowhere near enough to spoil the Huskies' home opener as UConn held on for the 9-1 win. Next, it was Mason Fioli's turn in the bump against Central Connecticut, and he didn't disappoint. Central Connecticut could hardly get men to the plate before they were sent right back down to the pine. Fioli struck out a career-high 13 and held the Blue Devils to just 3 hits in 7 scoreless innings. Offensively, the Huskies waited no time jumping ahead. Anthony Prado was able to score all the way from second after Central Connecticut's first baseman Al Merrill would throw into left field to make it 1-0 in the first inning. In the second, Chris Winkle was going to be able to keep the ball just fair enough to bring in a run, and Mike Woodworth would add one more for good measure with his single into center field. They wouldn't end up needing it, but the Huskies added more runs in the third and the 7th in the 6-1 win. The Huskies had to head back out on the road to finish the weekend, but they didn't have to go far. It was just a quick trip up the road to Dunkin' Donuts Park on Saturday for a rematch against Hartford. It was another day, another stelling outing from their starting pitcher. This time, it came from Chase Gardner. Gardner had some trouble locating his pitches early, but eventually found his groove. The left-hander retired the last 14 batters he faced and earned himself a career-high 7 strikeouts. In the 7th inning, with the bases loaded, John Toppa sent a fly ball deep enough that came up just short of the fence, but was enough to drive in Connor Moriarty for the only run the Huskies would need on the day as they held on for the 1-0 win.
Also making their first appearance of the year at home was UConn Softball. The club came into their home opener against Wichita State at 13-20 and on a 4-game losing skid. The Shockers spoiled the homecoming with a sweep. UConn went up 3-0 in the 3rd inning on a clutch 2-out RBI single by Ryan Nakama, her first RBIs on the year, but that's all the offense they'd muster in the opening game. Jill Stokely turned in 4.2 scoreless innings before a 7-run 6th inning shifted momentum and did the Huskies in, falling 11-3. Wichita carried that momentum into Game 2 with 2 unearned runs right off the bat in the 1st inning that had UConn playing from behind early. 3 errors and a 4-run 6th was too much for the Huskies to overcome, who stranded 10 runners overall. UConn would head into the rubber match outscored 19-5. And Jill Stockley, once again on the hill, threw a complete game in the finale, allowing just 2 earned runs. Fast forwarding to the 6th, with UConn facing a 4-0 deficit and rallying, it was Kiwi McDaniel bringing the offense to life with a big pinch hit 3-run home run to right field. UConn came up just short, failing to bring home any more runs, handing Wichita State the series sweep. The Huskies continue their homestand tomorrow against Bryan University, looking to get back in the win column after 7 straight losses. Now pick up your sticks, we're headed to Florida. Well, at least the women's lacrosse team was. UConn traveled into Gainesville, Florida for a match against the number 8 ranked Florida Gators, who has won their past 24 Big East matches dating back to 2015. UConn couldn't break that as powerhouse Florida used a 15-4 first half to overwhelm the Huskies. A bright spot in the lineup was Grace Nolan, who had 4 of UConn's 8 total goals and won a team-best 6 draws in the 21-8 loss. UConn returns to campus against Villanova on Wednesday, seeking to break their 2-game skid. And we have to call a quick timeout, but when UC Sports returns, we'll have news on UConn Golf. Stick with us.
Welcome back. The Masters are this weekend, but there's already some championship news from the links to share with you guys. Sophomore Tim Humphrey captured the first tournament victory of his collegiate career down at the Alberta Coca-Cola Lehigh Valley Collegiate Invite in Hellertown, Pennsylvania this weekend. Playing as an individual, Humphrey shot 2 over 75 in the morning round, good enough for 10th place, but kicked it into another gear in the afternoon. He shot a 4 under 68 in the afternoon, tying for the low round of the tournament. Humphrey bogeyed the first playoff hole, but parred the second to guarantee individual medalist honors.
And now mark your calendars. UConn is back on the gridiron. Randy Edsall and his team have been hard at work gearing up for their tough schedule ahead. And you'll have your first look at the new team on Saturday, April 14th, when the spring football game is scheduled to take place at Pratt Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field. Kickoff is set for noon, and as always for spring, tickets and parking are free.
To close out our show, it's time for some quick hits on Huskies and the pros. There was some great alumni action in the NBA. Cardiac Kemba Walker seems to always be his best self in March, continuing the tradition of winning into his professional career. Last week, he added to his already impressive Hornets resume by passing Del Curry to become Charlotte's franchise scoring leader with 9,841 points. The 26-year-old record was broken when Walker made a reverse layup in the waning seconds of a 118-105 loss to Cleveland. Kemba was incredibly emotional after the game when asked about his accomplishment. Take a look.
You have worked extremely hard from the time that you came to this franchise, and you can see everyone supporting you.
I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be here, man. A lot of people from where I'm from, don't make it. And, through my Lord and Savior, my family, a lot of hard work. It's been a long ride, but this is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, you can see clearly Kemba has heart for Charlotte and the organization for giving him a chance and their fans. And we definitely are pulling for his continued success. Rodney Purvis signed a 2-year contract with the Orlando Magic after making waves since his call-up from the G League and back-to-back 10-day contracts. He will be with the Magic through the remainder of this season, but will have to play for a spot next year. He can be cut without a penalty to Orlando. Purvis turned heads in a 19-point performance against Philadelphia last month.
And finally, UConn legend Ray Allen will take his place in Springfield over the summer after he was elected to the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame over the weekend. The 10-time NBA All-Star and the league's all-time three-points leader joins a star-studded class including Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and Grant Hill.
And, well, Bryan, what a show that was. Of course we would have loved to bring an update on a championship coming back to stores, but, it was another heartbreak for them. But that'll do it for this week's edition of UC Sports.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter at UCTV Sports for all the UConn athletics news you could need, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at the UCTV Channel 14 to watch our content as soon as it goes live. For Ryan, Kim, and the crew, I'm Bryan Lambert. Thank you for watching, and good night.